Welcome to After Dark at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, featuring Kara Delane and Ted Ings. This episode is brought to you by BG Products, partners beyond products. And now for your hosts, Ted Ings and Kara Delane.
Welcome to After Dark at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, everyone. Welcome, Martha and Steven. Welcome back.
Thanks a lot.
and Martha, I think you're on mute, but welcome to you as well. It's been a long time, Martha, since we had you back on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me back.
Hey, we're very grateful to have you. And, Kara, Steve made the comment in the green room before we got rolling that you look a little bit like Cher tonight.
That's quite the compliment. I'll take Cher any day.
We're going to sing I Got You, Babe, when the show's over.
All right. So we're rocking, everybody. Michelle McLean is in the chat. Happy We Rise Together Wednesday, Superhumans. Michelle, we are grateful to you.
Hey,
you do so much for the Fixed Ops Roundtable and the community, Michelle. So thank you for all you got going. So we are live tonight. And Kara, we're on a couple different platforms, right?
Yes, we are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So make sure that you click that share button tonight and that you comment down below. We're with everyone for our guests, and we have some trivia again tonight, Ted. So hopefully everybody in the comments is going to play along with us as well.
All right. So you're going to get the trivia going for us, and we're going to have Steve and Martha, I guess myself, and the people in the chat can all contribute, right?
Oh, yes.
Hey, Don.
Right, even this fellow, Don Brady. All right. I want to do a quick shout out to BG Products, who is our exclusive sponsor for tonight. BG Products, partners beyond products. Grateful to them for all we have going on with Fixed Ops, bringing Fixed Ops really to the forefront. And Kara, I've heard a whole lot about that in the last week with some of the videos I've seen online. I know there's one coming up tomorrow with the great Tully Williams, but, great idea to get those testimonials out, Kara.
I know. I've loved hearing kind of the outlook that different people in our industry have about what the Roundtable has done for them. So it's been really interesting. A lot of positive feedback that we've gotten out there and a lot of different faces. So if there's anybody watching us tonight that wants to send us one, feel free.
All right. Well, Martha Alvarado and Stephen Mason go back to the first big Fixed Ops Roundtable we did in Los Angeles in 2019. And Steve, you were a speaker there. And I noticed in one of the posts that Martha had online today, I shared it, Tony Owens, was that big Hershey bar. Martha, tell us about that. Tell us, because that obviously you remember it all these months later.
I do. I think that's one of the things that I will never forget. And like I said on the post, every time that I think about Stephen, I think about those chocolates. He came over and he gave one of those to each of us, all of the people attending that day. And it got stuck, it was just a little piece of sweetness, right? But it was really great. It was really great. So he sent me one this morning. Somebody called me and said, hey, you got a package over here. Did you order something? And I'm like, no. And then they send me the picture. And I'm like, and then they send me the name. I was like, I know where it's coming from. So it was really nice. It was really good,
I'm glad
Steve, I'm putting all this together. You did all that. Wow.
He did. He's a great guy. We know. We've been following him. And like I said it this morning, it's the way I think, and we were talking before, how we make all other feels and how we make them remember us, right?
Sure.
It's experience, so which is very important in our industry, right? How are we going to make everybody feel?
That's right. And I think Sean Kingry's feeling left out tonight without me wearing the wig. But Sean, hopefully Kara's more than making up for that with the share look tonight. And by the way, everybody, if you like the share look, comment down below and we'll bring those in as well. If you like that share wig on Kara. Mason, how did you come up with this chocolate idea?
The whole idea when I did it, if y'all remember, was I started off with a little piece of chocolate and gave every single person one. And then we talked about what can happen if you apply yourself, if you decide you want to be great. What happens? What do you become? Hey, you're not that little piece of chocolate anymore. And then I gave everybody the huge bars. I think everybody in any capacity and it has the ability to be that large chocolate bar. Ted, when you and I spoke about, and I don't mind putting her on the spot about Kara, you said, everybody's going through the pandemic. You walk into a dealership and there's Kara sitting there on the telephone making calls. I think that our work ethic speaks volumes towards what we can be. We just got to decide what we want to be, and then you go after it. But everybody's got the same chance, the same opportunity to be great at something. They just have to decide whether they want to or not.
Yep. I see Jeremy Stevens in the chat. Jeremy, I understand you're going to be with us at the next Fixed Ops Roundtable on a panel. Looking forward to that. Freddie, welcome as well. Steve, you got so many stories from retail, and that was one of the reasons I wanted to have you speak at that roundtable at that very early one, because you're very motivational, and I believe you opened up that session. You spoke very early in the day, and you really rallied the troops, and we all remember it to this day.
So when I say it all the time without trying to portray a picture of myself or pat myself on the back, early on in life, my father did not make it easy for me. When I got divorced, I didn't have a place to stay. And I don't mind speaking candidly about the fact that for about 4.5 months, I lived in my car. And there's a guy named James Hamilton in San Antonio that I still talk to all the time. And every now and then I'd get lucky enough to stay on James' couch. So I was going to be successful, or I was going to live in the back of a Nissan. And that's not an exaggerated statement. I was going to be successful, or I was going to live in the back of a Nissan. And I refused not to invest in myself in everything I did. And listen, our dealership was closed on Saturdays and open Sundays. And I spent so many Saturdays up there opening up cars for customers and handing out Country Time lemonades, because bottled water didn't exist yet. It was a long time ago. And the amount of the return on that investment, of the time I invested in myself out in the heat, it just got, all of a sudden, I don't mind telling you, all of a sudden an 8-car salesman became a 12-car salesman, became a 15, and we all have our stories. And when I say that, it's important to say that doesn't mean every month was a great month. The only thing that was great every single month was I was going to apply myself to the best of my ability. And that didn't mean that I always won, but I never gave up trying. And I think that that's the most important lesson I can teach everybody. A really good salesman accepts a no and just keeps it going, keeps going. Your attitude never changes. You just stay in your shoes and push forward and just don't quit. And yeah, I'm a big believer in that. I mean, I'm passionate about it, Ted. I am. Yes.
Steve, there's a great risk, especially in automotive retail, for letting other people during the course of a day determine your attitude. All right. It's easy. And you can't let that happen. You control your attitude. That's the one thing we all control, right? And that attitude, Steve, makes the biggest difference.
I'm failing the minute I allow somebody else to dictate or consume my happiness. And I don't mind saying this, and I say this all the time. I get over unhappy people quicker than speed bumps. I don't have time. I don't have enough time in the day to let somebody ruin my day. And I feel very strongly about that, and I try to live my life that way. And we talked about earlier, I sent Martha that chocolate bar today because, 4 years ago or 5, whatever it was, I met Martha 6 years ago, whatever that was, I don't remember. I had one for her then. And I try to just be that guy that if I know I can make somebody's day, man, and I called up that dealership, Martha. I told the receptionist, make sure my friend Martha gets that.
They did tell me.
Okay. Oh, absolutely. It was like the most important thing I could do today, just to do something different.
And you make me smile. It was really, really nice. And it's so important what you're sharing right now. Sometimes we're afraid to talk about where we're coming from. And we also have to be very aware of how that can help others. Like you were saying, going through your divorce. I remember you shared that post not that long ago also about what your grandma told you to do. Right. And being the resiliency, to continue being on this industry. I started when, a long time ago, 23 years ago, in a moment where going into a dealership was my first job in English. I did not speak English when I got there. I had the experience, about setting up appointments, but I didn't really, speak much words of, my English was really basic and didn't have any BDC experience. I have some sales experience. And a lot of people will make fun of me. A lot of people were like, okay, what are you saying? What are you trying to say? And I remember that I said, like, I'm going to continue going. And I dig and dig. And I, like you said, went on my days off, work the extra hours to learn more about the industry. And not only that, you know what? I was working at a Ford dealership, muscle cars, right? Big trucks. And when they were here, like a girl's voice is like, nope, I don't want to talk to a girl that doesn't know anything about the dualies. So it was a double challenge, and it's good sometimes that we don't forget, in the attitude, not letting anybody change the attitude that we're going to have towards every single day that when we come to work, because let's be honest, sometimes it can get really hot at a dealership, right? There's different situations in sales or service. So just to keep going and remembering, I think that there is someone behind us that is looking up to what we're doing and how we're doing it too.
Wow. Kara, how about that? Putting in the work and learning how to shift and pivot, some of the things that we're hearing here.
I know how you feel, Martha. I had that experience at one of the dealerships I had worked at previously. And I'll never forget it. A guy just grilling me about, I need to talk to a male salesman. And really, I wasn't even selling cars, but he was at our Ford store and I knew, honestly, the most about Ford products. And I started educating him, and the conversation turned around really quickly, and he ended up purchasing a car that day. And I was involved in the whole process, but I was like, I'll show you. Mm-hmm. But it was interesting. It was one of the only times that I felt like that in a dealership.
Steve, that happens all too often.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something, Martha and Kara, I see that so much where men, and I'll say it just the way they say it, men want to speak to somebody with hair on their legs, and they totally dismiss, women for being, really good at are educated in the car business. And I have such a respect for women that apply themselves in the car business. If I could employ a whole store full of women, I would. Now, we'd have a couple of cat fights on occasion, I'll tell you that. But let me tell you something, we'd be great, no doubt.
Martha, why are there not more women in retail? That's a cliche, right? That question's gone on and on, but it's maybe better now, somewhat better. I know Kara comes from a dealership that's, that was predominantly had a great number of women. Martha, why is that still such a challenge all around the country?
Well, you said, like, I think in the last 2-3 years, I have seen a big shift, more motivation, more people behind us. And there is a lot of the male out there that they support us. They want us to do better, right? I think it's a little bit challenging because when you start thinking maybe about the hours, the times, the things that we need to do, it takes a lot of time, let's be honest, even if you hire a male, you have to say, remember that we don't have holidays. We have to be here on 4th of July. So we're going to be here late. So as a female, I think that is a little bit more of like fear, because we have to take care of our kids. We have to take care of the family. But it's changing. It can be done. I did it. I have done it. It's been 23 years as a single mom, in this industry.
Yes.
Okay. Taking care of the kids. And I love the industry. I don't think I will change it for anything. So I tell anybody, you know what? Yeah, we need to sacrifice here and there, but it's a beautiful industry where you can grow, you can learn. And now I think it's time for us to just support each other more. And I'm really happy about that because it's happening.
Martha, you got a lot of support tonight online. I see Courtney Pascal is in the chat. She's going to be on your panel with Michelle McLean. Of course, we see Steve Apicella. Steve, welcome. Good evening to you. Looking forward to you being there. And of course, Ellen has made a number of comments. But, Kara, it's got to be a little bit more refreshing now than before, but still not anywhere near where we need to be.
No, but I think, just seeing the difference in the last few years even gives us hope, and like she touched on, that so many men in our industry are paving the way for us women and supporting us along the way. And that's really making a big difference. It's not just the women out there, standing up and saying, hey, we want a piece of this pie. It's the men encouraging us and, leading from the back of the pack also.
Steve Mason, how about you?
Hey, I couldn't agree more with both of them. I think that I know more and more men that are extremely supportive of the women in the business who are what I really, really think I'm seeing now more than ever, Kara, Martha, is I'm seeing much more value placed on females in the automobile business than I saw 5 years ago. 5 years ago, we were, oh gosh, if she works hard, she can become a manager. And now we're seeing where they're being treated as equals. So if they work the same as the next guy, their value's being noticed, and you're seeing more and more females advance in the auto business. And I love it. I mean, but like I said, I'm such a huge fan of so many of the women I've been around. And even early in my career, 20 years ago, my very first female general manager I ever met was Belinda Zapata, and she was just phenomenal in her work ethic and everything she did. She was character based, and she had to work much harder then for what now I think that women are being noticed for equally, if that makes sense.
And Steve, I can't even remember how many times you've introduced me to women who work with you, alongside you in dealerships. And you said, in fact, just a couple of days ago, okay, somebody in your dealership who was new working, I believe, in the finance department that you
That's
introduced
correct.
me to. You're
Yes.
always introducing new and upcoming stars in our industry.
Yeah, that's hey, listen, that's Jewel Davis and Martha Carey. Y'all would love that. Jewel came to me as a single mother, and she wanted a job in the body shop, and I have to give her all the credit. She worked in the body shop for 3 months, and she said to me, "Hey, Steve, I really need to make more money. I think I can really do a good job selling. Would you let me try?" And I said yes. And she went on the sales floor, y'all. Now, please understand, a typical salesperson, 7 cars their first month? Jewel goes out there and pounds out 23 units her first month. I know it, Kara. 23, 25, 31, 18, and just becomes a monster. She becomes so good that the dealership group doesn't, and I hate to say, you see this, they don't want to send her to F&I school after a couple of years because they want her production on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
She reaches out to me and says, would you invest in me in the finance department? I said, yes, I would. And, she took a chance, and now she's down here doing finance. But I don't get any of the credit for females. I notice their talent, but every bit of the credit has to go to them because I don't do anything to get them where they end up. That's all them. All I do is, just like I spoke about earlier, we all have a chance to be great. I give them a chance to be great, and then they run with it, and they deserve everything they get.
A lot of great comments coming in tonight. Michelle, I did not forget Ellen from Jeff Schmidt Automotive Group, running the parts department there. She's on that panel with you and with Martha. She's a tremendous addition to our Fixed Ops Roundtable. Kara, this Chad Majewski, who's in right now, works for our good friend Sean Kingery up in Wisconsin, and reached out to me the other day. Chad, I'm so glad that we were able to do that workaround so you can now get the comments in, and we're very honored to have you. Yes, especially mechanics. Women bring a lot of fun and are very organized. Martha, Chad is right. Very organized.
Nails.
So you said something that is quite sad, Stephen. You said that she didn't, the dealership that she was working at didn't want to lose her because she was doing such a great job at her position. And that is something that we see over and over and over, right? Happening, especially to females. Like you say, women are more organized. There's different set of skills, and customers do like and have a tendency to trust more when they're on the floor. But that limits them for where they wanted it to be moved, because then they go like, no, you're really good at what you do, and it's sad. But like we were saying, we're seeing changes and they're necessary, and we really want them to, move and grow up, because I think those are one of the factors that some women are taking from the history in the automotive industry, that they don't want to get into this business because they feel that they may just get stuck,
So I see two things at times. I see, number one, I call it selfish leadership. When you start thinking that you don't want to promote somebody because it takes away from what you're accomplishing, then you're really not much of a leader at all. That's the first thing. And number two, when you as a leader feel like you don't want to promote somebody because you're going to have to work harder, then I don't know what you are there either. And I see a lot of that. And I hate to say that. That's the manager who wants to hire somebody who's already experienced because they know if they hire somebody who's not experienced that they're going to have to work even harder, and they don't want to. And that's a bad recipe and a bad cake.
I think what they want to keep in mind is that we're known for being nurturing. Okay. So it's easier for us to develop more talent. So if we move up to a manager position, a leadership position, it comes a little bit more natural because it's on our instinct.
Okay.
Sure, I agree
You
with
know?
that.
So it's not, you're not limiting your company. You're just growing because you're putting a seed where there more seeds are going to grow.
Yep.
Because that knowledge is going to be shared. It's going to be bigger.
Kara, I know you want to jump in on this. What are your feelings?
I have to agree with Martha, and it's not just because I am a woman. I've seen many women excel in different parts of dealerships. And in my experience, I feel like women leaders that were, my managers at times were more helpful to me than a lot of the men. I don't know if it was because it was woman to woman, we just related better, but they really wanted, if they take this spot, they want you to fill their last position. And that's how it should be. That's how I approached everything that I did in automotive. I'm like, let's all be great. And I think that's why the dealerships I worked at, we had so many women, because we were there encouraging women to join us, empowering them when they were there. And there was no difference between a man and a woman at the dealerships that I was at. And some of those women were laying the men in the shade. I cannot lie.
Amen.
And you also did some things to attract perhaps a new breed of employee. You made some changes with the hours, with the work week. Kara, talk to us about that. You did a little experiment sometime last year.
Yeah. So my boss at the time, Eric Barbosa, went down this rabbit hole, and he was like, how do I get more women to work at these dealerships? And he's always been a huge advocate for women in automotive. And so he decided to pilot a 4-day work week. And he really did that because it was an amazing recruiting strategy, because that way, the moms of the group could have time with their kids at home. And then if the 4-day work week didn't work out, hey, let's talk about the hours that you can work. Let's make a schedule just for you that's tailored specifically to you, that you can benefit not only here in your career at the dealership, but also at home, so you can be successful in all areas of your life. And that was what made my dealership experience so special. And that's why I see women in automotive so differently, because I had great leaders like him and like Ted and a lot of other people that I've met that have really looked through a different lens at women in this industry.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's
that
great.
makes all the difference.
That's great stuff. And let's face it, I mean, I hate to say this when you talk about work weeks and hours. If we really wanted to break it down to how many hours a week we actually work in the car business, then listen, I hate to say it. I mean, we could really say that I've got salesmen that'll sell the right amount of cars, and they're only really working 30 hours a week, if that makes sense, So just playing with that schedule, I don't know, Eric, but I love that, Karen. I think that's a great testament to him. Are your group just thinking outside of the box? Yeah, it's great culture.
Yeah. And you know what? It comes back to that term you just said, Steve, culture, right? That's at the forefront. And that's going to be a big part of the Fixed Ops Roundtable that we have coming up, Colby Joyner, in May at the Back to the 80s event. All right. Speaking of which, I think it's time for a little trivia and for Kara to test our knowledge.
Yeah. So tonight we're playing trivia, and hopefully you guys are in tune with the 80s tonight. So they're not all about music tonight either. So hopefully.
Steve, how did you do last time?
I missed the first one.
Okay.
And then after that, man, I to be honest with you, Ted, I just kind of waited, for the next answer. When she got ready to say B, I was like, yeah, B. I read her lips.
He's like, yeah, that one.
I'm leaning on Martha tonight. Don't worry about this.
Oh God, I know this song. I never know who sings them or like the name of the songs, but I will sing them along.
All right.
I'm ready tonight. I really am.
All right. We'll see. I have 3 questions here, and here goes the first one. If you're watching us live tonight, comment down below if you know the answer so that we can help our guests.
Okay.
Here we go. When was the Walkman first sold in America?
Oh my
Hopefully everybody knows what a Walkman is.
Oh, you
I would
bet.
say the 1980.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 1980 also.
I'd say 80. Yeah. Mhm.
Man, y'all are right. Look at that.
Martha.
All
it's
around the
me and you,
board.
Martha. It's because of that chocolate.
Okay, yes.
Man, Michelle McLean knew it right off the bat too. Okay, let's see on the second one if you guys are
Okay.
going to get all three right. Here we go. Who sings the song, Should I Stay or Should I Go?
That's the Clash.
The Clash, yeah.
Ted, did you know this one?
I know the song. I don't know who sings it though.
That's the Clash.
But I'll defer to Martha and Steve. So
Y'all were correct. It was the Clash. So we got some more correct answers in the comments too.
If we ever get back to Beverly Hills, Martha and I'll dance to that one.
Yeah, there we go. Should I stay or should I go?
Right.
Right? All right, the last one here. What year was The Breakfast Club released?
85.
Oh,
85. Yeah.
85.
All right, mixed answers on this one. What do y'all think it is?
It's either 85 or 89, Martha.
I'm 85. I'll go with 85.
85?
I
Okay.
think it was 85.
85 is right. There you go.
I just went back to what grade it was on, you know?
I hate that, but you're right.
To get the right answer.
Am I a senior or am I a freshman?
No, it was 85.
That was a great era in the 80s,
Oh,
Steve
the best.
Mason. So,
The
yeah.
best.
Yeah, it was. I remember it like yesterday.
I know you do. I know. I know. And we're going to have a very fun theme coming up, not only for this event, but for the one following this as well. So we got a lot in store. So we have a big event coming up. It's in May. It is back to the 80s. Tara, what are the dates on this event?
Yes, it's coming up before we know it, Ted, on May 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. So grab your wigs, grab your 80s attire, and grab your complimentary tickets over at fixedopsroundtable.com.
And we got a great speaker lineup. Of course, you see some of the folks on the anchor image right now, but also we have some amazing interviews coming up. Chris Saraceno is going to be here. Cara Delane is doing an interview with Chris, and talking about culture, talking about the theory of five. We're going to learn all about that. Martha and Steve, if you remember back when we met in Los Angeles, this gentleman here, Tom Rudney, was our very first keynote speaker. Tom is coming back with us, back to the 80s. He's going to be here at the event. Cara, you mentioned this gentleman, this great leader. Eric Barbosa is going to be with us. We have a very, very strong speaker lineup. Look forward to having Eric here, as well as Brian Kramer is going to be with us. David Spizak is going to be with us. Also, new addition today, Rob Cavender. Rob Cavender will be speaking at the next Fixed Ops Roundtable. And tonight, we're very honored to announce that Martha Alvarado will be with us on a very, very big, important panel that we've been alluding to a couple times. And Stephen Mason will be speaking at the event as well. So we've got an amazing lineup and a lot more to come over the next few weeks. So,
Man, so much stuff going on with the 80s. I'm so excited.
Did anybody see that dagger that Michelle threw about her age when that movie came
Yeah,
out?
I did read that.
Look, she just threw it again. That's a.
There it is.
Y'all are going to need to block her from the next one.
It's all right, Michelle. I wasn't even thought about
Kara,
I
come
was
on,
going to
Kara.
say that.
Man,
Michelle was 4 in 85. I
she
love that.
said, as soon as I saw it, I started laughing.
I know, Michelle. I can't wait for this to announce the
September.
next theme as well. But Michelle, we're going to have to get into the 80s first to be able to do that next theme.
Yes.
So, yeah, they're all great superhumans. So, hey, Martha and Steve, thank you so much for tonight. This was fun.
It has been fun. Yes, I love it. I really like it. You know,
We got to do this again.
it's
Mason,
exciting.
you're becoming like a regular here on the show.
I know.
No kidding. Hey, I got to say before I get off, Kara, Martha, I just think that y'all are phenomenal at what you do. And tonight was absolutely my pleasure. I always enjoy being, like I said, around anybody that I think just focuses so hard at being great at what they do. So it's absolutely been my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you. The feeling is mutual. Thank you.
Ted, you know I love you like a brother.
Yep. I know.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Kara. You know, it's a learning experience. It's so exciting, you know, this like going with the flow also is really, you know, good because we can jump and feel a little bit more like, you know, comfortable. You know, it's really nice. So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward for May too.
We appreciate it so much, both of you, and we can't wait for Back to the 80s. Thank you, everyone, for watching tonight and sharing and commenting and playing along with our trivia. We will see everybody on Monday at 8 p.m.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.